Hello, my artsy friend. Today we're going to be stitching a small floral design on the ever popular crossbody bag. We know it's a fanny bag. So let's get stitching. We're going to be starting with our water soluble stabilizer. I printed and cut this out. I'm just going to peel this and then apply it to my bag. Now I did work with some placement. I decided on the upper left, but you can place this wherever you'd like. You could also put it on the bottom, wherever it feels good to you. Get that applied and we'll start stitching. So I'm going to start with my dark green. So I'm going to begin with the stems. I'm doing a back stitch, and make sure you're not sewing anything shut on the inside. I think that's what I just checked. So you're going to start with your stems. So I'm going to do a back stitch here. I'm going to come up through the back, down through the front to start that straight stitch. And then I'm going to back stitch each of these stems. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come up a stitch length ahead and then back down into the last hole of my initial stitch. Again, if you need help with the stitches, refer back to the 101 class, but these are just simple back stitches. So I'm going to do this for all of the stems, and then I'm also going to be shading my leaves with this dark green. So my goal is to do all of the same color and then come back through and start my next color. So I'm going to speed this up for us. I'm going to finish these stems and then meet you back for the shading of the leaves. Okay, now we're back for the leaves. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be making this kind of a shade. I've been really liking these two-tone leaves. So the bottom, where it might be a little bit more shaded, I'm going to be doing this dark green. And when I do my satin stitch, I like to kind of cut it up in pieces. Like I'm basically giving myself guidelines so I can keep my stitches consistent and make that shape a little more structured. I tend to get a little wonky if I don't do this. So I'm really just setting a structure and then going back through and filling that in. So I'm going to fill these in and then I'll get all of the dark pieces done. Again, doing back stitch on all the stems, and we're going to come back up. And now I'm going to fill in this little leaf over here. So this is set up for lazy daisies. So I'm coming up through the back, down through the front, and I'm going to create a loop. And once I get my loop, I'm going to come up and I'm going to catch that loop with my needle. So I'm going to pull that through here. And then to secure that, I'm just going to go right over top of that floss and stitch it in place. So this is the lazy daisy. This would also really cute filled in. So if you want to make them leaves, or maybe you want to create little flowers here, you could do a different color here, make it a little bit of a lavender or something like that. Feel free to mix it up however you like. Okay, so I'm finishing this up and I'm going to come back through. So I mentioned I did all of my dark green. Now I'm going to come back through with this light green, and I'm still doing a satin stitch. So I'm splitting it up through the back, down through the front, side by side by side. This is our satin stitch. I'm coming at an angle to kind of create that seam for the leaf. I guess it's a vein here, but I'm creating that vein. I'm also splitting it two-tone as if there was some light and some shadow. You can also mix your floss, like do one dark, one light, maybe two darks, two lights. Feel free to play around with that as well. I enjoy color blocking, so that's what I'm doing here. So again, I'm going to be doing the top parts of my leaves in this light green and leaving the bottom where it's a little bit darker, dark green. You could also do a leaf stitch for these and have it all one color. Again, make sure that you're using the colors that you like best and mixing in the stitches that you enjoy. So I'm going for a satin stitch again on these petals. I'm creating a white flower. Now, one thing to note, if you're using a light color with a water soluble stabilizer, you may need to soak it a little bit longer, maybe even overnight, to make sure that that dark print from your printer does not come through. So if you're using anything in the pastel family, maybe a nice yellow or a pink, especially white, I would suggest letting it soak overnight. A lot of times I use the sprayer in my sink in the kitchen and that works fine, but I am more sensitive when it's lighter thread. I've seen a couple times where I've maybe missed it and that dark piece is showing through. So just make sure that you soak it if you're using light colors. Darker colors probably doesn't matter as much, or if you've completely covered it. And again, make sure you're using the stitches that you prefer. I'm going to start using a French knot here. So if you prefer a satin stitch or something else, feel free to swap, but I'm going to bring it up through the back, wrap it 2 or 3 times, and then go right next down to where I came out. So this is going to create a knot. And again, if you need help, refer back to the 101 class. I'm going to do several of these to fill in the center of my flower here. I just really love the texture that it gives to the piece. And so I'm going to fill that in, and then I'm actually going to do the buds down there on the left. I'm going to do those with French knots as well. Again, you can swap these out for any stitches you prefer, color, etc. Make sure you're using what you like and what you enjoy doing. So if it's a satin stitch, go for it. If you want to mix in some long and short, go for those too. I'm going to continue here. So again, I'm just wrapping 2 to 3 times and pulling that through to create the knot. So I'm going to fill in here, and then I'm going to fill in those buds down at the bottom, and I'll meet you back to wash off the water soluble stabilizer. Okay, now that we have everything stitched, we're ready to rinse this off. So I mentioned before, I use the sprayer in my sink a lot. I also use my upstairs sink. So we're going to soak this. We're going to start it. I'm going to see how well this comes off, but likely I'm going to soak this overnight. And when I do that, I just put it in a bowl, and I will put this one face down and just let it soak overnight, grab it in the morning and let it dry out. I do want to mention, if you're using a bag that you plan to wash, I would wash it first. Always, always, always wash your fabric. That's why I love upcycling. It's kind of a hack because it's already been washed. But you want to make sure that if you're going to be washing it, you do that beforehand so it doesn't ruin your stitches. I'm going to finish getting the stabilizer off, and then I'll come back and show you my final product. And here's the final bag. I love it. So pinks and greens and golds are totally my thing. I cannot wait to see what colors and stitches you chose. Key takeaways. Use the colors and stitches that best reflect your style. To avoid dark lines, be sure to dissolve the water-soluble stabilizer completely. This may mean soaking it overnight. If your bag is washable, be sure to do that first so your fabric doesn't shrink on you and ruin your stitches. And remember to upcycle when possible. This is also a hack because if it's upcycled, it's probably already been washed. Happy stitching! I'll see you in the next lesson.